The lesson is reproduction in organisms. The first topic is lifespan. The period from birth to the natural death of an organism is called its lifespan. Lifespan of other organisms or different organisms is always varies from species to species and organism to organism till they are not to be death. For example, the lifespan of different organisms like in plants, banyan tree at least 200 years, and in organisms the may fly maybe 1 day or less than 1 day. So in this way the different organisms have the different lifespans in their whole life. Then reproduction is a very important process of all living organisms in which it it can capable to produce the different number of organisms by the different species, like the all organisms can capable to reproduce the same kind of young ones. For example, the reproduction is the biological process by which an organism produce another organism or its offspring similar to itself or its traits. Means they can be always morphologically, physically, sometimes genetically they are the similar, but not always, right? A reproduction is essential process for them, for the communities, for the places, for the ecosystems. For the first, the enables community of the species. The second, creative variation among the population and maintains the life on the earth. Means if there is no reproduction will take place, what will happen? The variation will not take place in the different organism. They all will be the same, and life is not possible on the surface of earth. Means individual can live without reproduction, but the all organisms cannot capable to survive without. This process is depend in different conditions like habitat, their internal physiology, and some other factors. Means the reproduction is differ from different organisms. For that, the types of reproduction is basically two types. Number one is asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction in which the reproduction does not involve formation of fusion of the gametes, but in case of the sexual reproduction the fusion of gametes will take place. Means the offsprings will form in asexual reproduction as genetically identical to the parental and referred to as clone. Means whenever the organisms can be morphologically, genetically identical to its parents, they can be referred as clone. Means they are 100% same to their the parents, because they can be always developed from the somatic cells of the parents, and there is no meiosis take place, because in the asexual reproduction only mitosis process will take place. Mitosis and meiosis means basically, as you already know, that these are the cell division process. Basically in the mitosis there is only somatic cells will divided. Means all the morphological cells can be divided easily and there is no genetically change. But in meiosis there the changes of the variation, the changes of the different substances will also take place. So the asexual reproduction is can be generally found in the plants and animals, basically in the single celled organisms like all the prostates, amoeba, moneras, bacteria, and some other organisms. And there are different types of mode of asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, there is fission, fragmentation, budding, regeneration, spore formation, and vegetative propagation. As you have already learned in the 10th class, the fission. Fission means whenever any parental cell can be split out into two or more daughter cells. Means they can be break down in two or more cells. That is called the fission. Means breakdown. There is a little difference between the fission and fusion. As I think you know that fission means whenever the cell will break down, and fusion when the gametes will fuse together, they will mix together, or simply we can say the addition is fusion and the subtraction is called the fission. Fission is different types. Number one, binary fission. Whenever the any parental cell can be split out into only two daughter cells, that is called the binary fission. In this, the all the daughter cells are always rapidly grows into a adult. They can be always similar to their parent. For example, it can be generally seen in amoeba and protozoa, amoeba and parameciums. It can be irregular, longitudinal, oblique, transverse, depending on the different planes. Means the fission can be done which places, on which it is depends. Means if it can be obliquely, we can obligate fission. If it can be irregular, we can irregular fission. Longitudinally, longitudinal fission. Right? In this way, it can be take place in different. Second one, the multiple fission. Multiple fission in which the organisms can be break down more than two cells. Means it can be breaks or splitting of a parental cell into number of daughter cells, each in which grows into adult, called the multiple fission. For example, it can be seen in plasmodium. Plasmodium means the causing agents of the malaria, right? In which it can be. The binary fission may be in simple type, in which when the division occurs in one plane but in always right angle to the elongated dividing nucleus, like amoeba. Amoeba can be break down, as you can see in the figure. It can be always break down into simple two equal fissions. In longitudinal fissions, basically, if you know, an organism is called euglena, in which it can be always longitudinal, means when it can be divided into longitudinal axis, right? Euglena and verticilla. Then the third type, when the division occurs at an angle to the transverse axis, right? Whenever the organism can be breaks or division will take place in the transverse axis, that is called the oblique. In transverse band division, fourth one, when the division occurs along the transverse axis of an individual's, like paramecium, diatoms, bacteria, and planaria. Planaria, it is a specific organisms in which this process can be take place, but there is another asexual mode of reproduction also take place in the planaria. The second type of the asexual mode of reproduction, that is called the budding. Budding means whenever any bud can be appears on an outgrowth or bud develop from the grows or the contacts of the base of the separate from the parental body. Means whenever any bud can be grow in the parental body and it can be grows separated out and grow into a new individuals, that is called the budding. Especially it can be seen in hydra and yeast. And third type of asexual mode of reproduction is sporulation. Sporulation means spore formation. The sporulation occurs by tiny single cell thin walls spore that are extremely resistant environmental extreme. Means these spores are always very resistant to different climatic conditions, different environmental conditions. Means they can be never be breaks down, never be grows without their adaptive condition, adaptive features, and spores can be changes into a new individuals. This formation of spores is known as sporulation, and it is a mode of asexual reproduction through which the new organism can be developed. Especially it can be seen in the Monera, Prostata, fungi, and algae. These are the microbes through which we can see them. This can be always seen in specific conditions. In the spore formation can be different types, like pseudopodiospore, which can be seen in amoeba for the formation of pseudopodia. Zoospores means zoospores are the motile flagellated. It can be Eleutheryx, Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas is an algae. Eleutheryx is an algae, right? Canadia means they are non-motile spores. Means it can be seen in penicillium, as you seen in your NCERT book. The sporulation, non-motile, rhizopus, and the gamules. Gamules are the internal buds sponges. It can be seen all the diagrams in your NCERT. You can just consult from over there. But then the next one is the fragmentation. Fragmentation, whenever breaking down of the parental body into two or more parts. Means whenever the parent plant can be break down into two or more parts, and each part can capable to develop or grows into a new individuals, means they can, those parts can independently grow and they can be developed. That is called the fragmentation. Algae like Spirogyra, bryophytes such as Markensia and Rixia. But algae, Spirogyra you have already seen in different ponds, in different water bodies. You can see the thread-like, greenish thread-like structure can be grow. That can be break down in different pieces. Those all pieces can able to grow easily into a new organism. And this type of reproduction is called fragmentation. Regeneration is not actually a type of reproduction, but it because of in specific organisms like the sponges and the planaria, it can be also part of the asexual reproduction, in which a missing part of an organism repairs itself. Proliferation of the cells means the cell can capable to grow itself individually and they can be grown into a new individuals. Basically it can be seen especially in the animals like the planaria and the sponges. But hydra, if the hydra can cut it down, it can also shows the this type of reproduction, that is called the regenerations, right? And I have told you about the different types of spores, in which especially the juice spores. Juice spores means they can be endogenous, produce unicellular naked and motile spores, in which one or more flagellated juice spores are produced in a sac-like structure called the juice sporangium. Basically, it can be seen in the Chlamydomonas. And Gonadia, asexual non-motile spores cut of this extremely either the single or the phytophora or in the chains the penicillium. Penicillium, as you know, it is the first antibiotic which can be developed with the by Mr. Alexander Flemings. It can be also have the, some form the tip of the special hyphae called the gonadiophores. But there are specific things that is called the gammules. Gammules is the internal asexual reproduction units or buds called the gammules like in sponges, but these develop in the parental body and release during the, and it can be also shown the internal budding. It is also an example of internal budding. Generally budding is shown in hydra, but it can be also seen in this country. Then come on the most important asexual mode of reproduction, that is called vegetative propagation. It is a mode of reproduction in which a new plant can be formed by the vegetative part. Vegetative part means the different morphological parts or outer parts of any plant or any individuals. Basically we are talking about the plants, so we can say about the plants, especially in different organisms of the plants, means they have the different vegetative part like the root, stem, leaf and etc, which can capable to develop, we can capable to develop into a new individuals, new plants. Basically it is very common in the angiospermic plants, but in the other plants it can be not common, but few plants can capable to do. So is a vegetative propagation is the different types like bulbil. In the example of bulbil is agave, bulbs like onion and garlic, ice, potato, leaf buds, bryophyllum, offset, water hyacinth and pistia, rhizomes, ginger, runners, obviously and suckers, mint, in which all these plants can capable to develop in different place parts. For example, if we talk about simple eyes, I think everybody has seen the potato, and that potato can be have that some pit-like structure in its body, that is called its eyes. If we can cut the potato and put the that part into the soil, and it can be capable to develop into a new plant, right? So that is, we can say the potato can be eyes. And what if we can put the leaf of the bryophyllum in our books, in our copies or anywhere except the pots, it can be also grows, because bryophyllum leaf have some nodes from where they can capable to develop the adventitious roots, and thus roots can capable to develop it into the different plants. And in the same way rhizobium, as we are familiar with the ginger, Sensor means they have the rhizomes, they have the under the rhizome there is a nodes, they can be develop the internal adventitious root. Adventitious root, I think you have already learned in the previous class, in 11th class, right? Means they can be developed from any place without their root parts, without their root parts or radical parts. So after that they can be able to develop. But you are not familiar with water hyacinth. Some of you are familiar with water hyacinth. Means water hyacinth, jal kumbhi, right? It can, if a plant, a single plant can be put into any water body, it can be capable to develop or cover the whole pond, because it can be developed with the help of what, that is called the offset. Means it's a side body, there is a some out offset can be growth from its main plant, and that offset can have the nodes, and through those nodes there can be changes into the different plants and can be capable to develop the new plants. So this is the mode of reproduction. This is the asexual mode of reproduction, through which we can capable to get the different types of the plant get over there.